Everyone's still there because I can't hear a thing.
Yes, we're live. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah. Yeah, in this laptop I don't have a mic, so I can only use my mic from external from the external side. Okay. Yeah, I'd like to talk about freedom of speech and expression. I think it's a hot topic: harassment, bigotry. Yeah, people get offended a lot. Certainly a Google Plus. And I'd like
Alrighty
to make the difference. Freedom of speech and expression. You have first freedom of speech, and that's actually the right to say whatever you want or what you think, what's on your mind. And the freedom of expression is the right to say however you want that, to express that, however you want to state that. So the freedom of speech and expression is the right to say whatever you want and think however you think it should be said, and that's according to me includes also the right to offend. But not all people get offended by the same things. So I think it's closely related to your personal level of tolerance. It's only your feelings that get hurt. You may be mad or get buttered. That's because you're basically an intolerable guy, I think. And because you don't get it way, or you're wrong, or you're not right, and you're not getting what you want. I personally can find that a very childish behavior. I don't get my cookies, so I start crying and making a fucking scene. So it's a kind of an anger, an aggression reaction, I think. And I think that it can also look very egoistic to the person that is actually giving a counter argument. It's okay to disagree, but things, for example, like money, power, your way of life, and certainly core beliefs, if you talk about religion and stuff like that, are very hot topics, and it's actually also a kind of cognitive dissonance, I think. Yeah, that's actually my introduction that I made, but. I like to say that talk about things like racism, pedophilia, and inciting violence, hate speech, etc., are very frowned upon in our society. We can't talk about it because it's illegal. It's punishable by law, and I think, isn't it also free speech to be allowed to express these beliefs, however despicable they are, as long as these beliefs aren't put into practice if you don't hurt anybody. So I think as long as there are no real physical or seriously mental and emotional harm, is it within the range of the acceptable or not? And that's what I would like to start talking about with you guys.
Okay. I have a little addendum here as far as the right to offend. It seems that there's been a lot of rhetoric in recent years, in the last about 3, that seems to want to believe that my rights sum total end where someone else's feelings begin. That's bullshit. Out and out bullshit. I actually, believe it or not, run a channel on YouTube that is dedicated to the idea of free speech. I've had people come out and just literally attack me, telling me that I have no right to be anywhere near my own channel, and they get left to hang themselves because, telling me to fuck off pisses me off, but it's not. What's it going to hurt me to do that?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not physically harmed by this, and if I had a nickel for every time someone told me to fuck off, I'm thinking I probably wouldn't need to be. I wouldn't be sitting here.
It's just the time I've spent on Just the time I've spent on Google, I could be fucking rich just by being told to fuck off and got paid a fucking cent every time.
If you know me a little, I don't understand it. I don't get buttered very often. I simply don't fucking care. It's words are words, and you can have your opinion to disagree. It's not the end of the world, and fuck that. And I turn off my PC and I go away and I forget about it. People get offended too much too quickly, and it gets aggressive tendency sometimes.
See, the other thing
yeah.
thing we have a problem here with. I'm sorry. Go right ahead, Bacon.
Oh no, please go.
All right then. The other thing we have a problem with is this really hazy definition that society seems to have of hate speech. What is hate speech? I can make a video, and in fact have made a video knocking Islam, and somehow that's hate speech. But the other side of that particular equation can scream about how we're all infidels and not only deserve to die, but are actively trying to kill people.
But you're going to hell is also hate speech.
Nothing more than
in my opinion.
A lot of what is and is not hate speech, I think, is actually culturally dominated. And until you can come up with a single definition that works, then where are you going with this? I mean, if it seems to me that hate speech is anything that starts pushing or attempting to destroy the lives and health of actual people. So that's as close as I can get as far as definitions go.
That sounds like a fair definition, really.
Well, what's your definition for hate speech? What do you regard as hate speech?
Well, if you're like Cargo, I've copped a hell of a lot on Islamic sites where I've gone and I've just said, yeah, look, why don't you guys just chill out? And I try to be nice about it at first and say, look, how about you just calm down, stop cutting people's heads off. Oh, but that's not us. They're not real Muslims, and you're having a go at us because that's hate speech. No, come on. Then I start going off the deep end and I start giving them a hard time about it. But when I've had a bit of, I've come across this LGBT teenage channel where, community, where a bunch of guys jumped in there, allegedly Christian pastors who all have connections to Westboro. And so I've jumped in and started giving them hell because they've been running around telling them all to go and kill themselves, go and hang themselves, go and this, go and that. It's got a nice little group there going where they're just ripping these kids apart. They're all middle-aged men, and they think they're such heroes doing it. And then they tell me I'm indulging in hate speech against them.
Yeah, okay,
explain
whatever.
That.
There's been a big trend.
I can't explain that. Don't ask me.
There's been a big trend I've noticed in people who want to believe things but don't have a particular valid reason to, and they then assert that things like evidence are all interpretation, are all a point of view, and I am all for free speech and people being allowed to say what they want, but when you try to taint reality to match your point of view, which doesn't have evidence, which doesn't have a reason to be looked at that way in the first place, and then try to force it onto other people, and then when it's not accepted and people say, well, actually this is reality, then it's this. Well, for one, Christianity in particular has been seeking this persecute me attitude, and any time anybody who claims to be a Christian has anything done against them, it's just, oh yeah, the Bible said we'd be hated, the Bible said we'd be persecuted, and they latch on to that, thinking that because someone says, oh no, that's ridiculous, that's not right, well, that's persecution, thereby confirming the Bible, thereby confirming their belief. And that taints, from what I've seen, that taints views of reality, that taints views of everything that happens in a person's life, to a detriment in a lot of times.
2 words to that: Josh Duggar.
Yeah, holy shit.
Are we calling names out here?
No, actually, it's an example.
But I think
if you want to get something that's actually been, it's actually well known now. The example you're looking for is Josh Duggar, and especially when you get into people like Eric Hovind and Mike Fuckaflea. Yes, I mispronounced that on purpose. You start seeing exactly where it all. You start seeing where this all goes. Here, let's defend the felon.
But I think hate speech is also to do with if you threaten someone with death, for example. If you said hang all those godless bastards. I had this comment lately. I shared it. You should have seen it. Well, that's what I see as hate speech. That's saying hang a particular group of people, kill them all because of an irrational reason. That's what I see as hate speech and nothing else actually.
Actually, my definition completely agrees with that statement.
Yeah, I agree. And they don't see what they're doing as hate speech because, well, I guess I can't say because, but from my point of view, these people, like you were saying earlier, cognitive dissonance is so strong with these people. And not only cognitive dissonance, but especially with Christianity, like I said, they're wishing, or their Bible says that they will be persecuted for their beliefs. So when they grab onto a belief that, they almost flock to beliefs that are already poorly held up because of the simple fact that they're not. I think, and I can't speak with the Muslims in the same way. I've never really met or been able to talk to Muslims about specific things like this, but especially in Christianity, especially here in the United States, and this is almost how do I say this? They like I say, it's inbuilt into the belief structure for them to feel that, okay, their God created everything. They believe their God is in charge of everything, and He set these rules. Thereby, it's not hate speech to say, oh, you're one thing they like to say, hate the sinner, or love the sinner, hate the sin, and that to me is like the pinnacle of that cognitive dissonance. I guess is what I was trying to say.
Yeah, I understand.
That oh man, I almost had it. Okay, someone else go ahead.
But if they talk about harassment or bullying or hate speech, they mix it up with bigotry many of the times. I've actually looked up the definition of bigotry, and that's intolerance towards those who hold different opinions from oneself. The difficulties group. The synonyms are prejudice, bias, partially discrimination, injustice, narrow-mindedness, fanaticism, dogmatism. That are all examples of bigotry, and and many people regard those subjects, if you go in that particular direction, they call that harassment or racism or hate speech, but it's actually also bigotry, and there's a little overlapping of the things, I think.
Yeah, I could definitely.
Well, strictly speaking, by that definition, that would make us all bigots because we disagree with the religious.
But I don't hate the religions, but I don't like them. But I'm not gonna kill religious people. I have no problem with them as long as they leave me alone. I leave them alone. But
that's the problem.
They have the right to say that we're wrong and ridicule me. I don't fucking care. But I have the right to do the same to them.
That's an awkward situation you get into when you truly believe that the religion that you have and the brand of the religion that you have is the one and only truth, and that the whatever religious book you have is the word of God, and then you feel you're in this position that everybody else is wrong and you need to help them out or else they're all going to hell or annihilation or whatever the belief is, and to get reason past this is a very difficult task. And so separating, especially in politics, I talk with people, and one of my friends says you always bring the religion, Christianity up, and I try to explain to him, look at how religious people are using religion in the United States alone to taint politics, and he completely agrees with the separation of church and state, but he also agrees that a politician should be allowed to be religious, and so then both of those agreements and understandings in his head collide with each other when you then say, but they're using just like you would if you were a politician, you would think okay, well, this is the earth God given to me, so I must do blah 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 because of my religion, because of my beliefs, because I believe God this, God that, whatever, and that in turn would lead you to disregard that separation of church and state. So how do you uphold both a belief that someone should be able to believe whatever they want, and then something like you can't ban someone from politics just because they're a Christian, but you could see that because they're a Christian and their brand of Christianity, especially look at Ted Cruz or Mike Huckabee, whatever, these people use their religion to persecute people politically and in the public, in the public spectrum, and there's no separating those two in their mind. So where's that separation of church and state for someone like that who reality almost is like a mirror to just bounces off of, doesn't affect?
Well, we've got a similar problem in Australia with... The short answer to that is that... Sorry? Who jumped in first?
Yeah, you were going
first. You started talking first.
Yeah.
No, okay. I have to take something. Please go on. I'm listening.
Yeah, I was just going to say we've got a very similar problem in Australia with good old Tony Abbott. He's our Prime Minister. Die-hard Catholic. He's brought all his baggage of Catholicism into his approach to laws. He's forced. He actually got the Attorney General to kill the gay marriage laws here after they'd been approved.
As someone that would believe that heartedly, you would expect to. I mean, you would expect nothing less from a. I hate to use the word fundamentalist because I'm not trying to make these people look crazy like that. But someone who really believes that type of thing, you would expect that to affect their politics. If it didn't, then that'd be red flags to. So how can you draw that line? You know what I mean?
Well, I have yet to run into many religious people that aren't fundamentalist on some level. At the same time, separating someone from their beliefs is a bit difficult especially when it comes to politicians, most of which were running on platforms to just to get elected that required that they kowtow to their particular demographics, most of which are also going to be fundamentalists of some stripe or another. As far as the separation of church and state, the best you're going to be, the best we can hope for until at some point where it can be confirmed by some other source of authority, the Supreme Court or whatever, that this sort of behavior is unacceptable. The best we can hope for is to keep it out of the public institutions, and at this point, especially in the United States, we're failing miserably. It's not going to be a lot of time before it's just not even going to be possible. To some degree or another, you get people like the Discovery Institute that are pushing teach the controversy. Yeah, okay, whatever. But there are people out there, and especially school boards, that are taking them seriously. You have to look at when you're trying to assess the state of a claim and how it is to be introduced to children. You have to look at the way in which the introduction was actually put together. If you're using the political process to do the job, then you're doing something wrong. If intelligent design was science, then it would be in the science books by its nature. Just as an example, Mike Huckabee, Mr. Fucking Flea himself, recently made a very clear statement, and this is something that I'm probably going to wind up doing a video on here soon. Stating that regardless of the Supreme Court's decision, that should be coming up any second now, on whether or not gay marriage is actually something that should be legal everywhere here. He has every intention of ignoring it, because the Supreme Being is greater than the Supreme Court.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If you would truly believe that, and if you're looking at someone who you think truly believes that, that's how you would expect them to act. I mean, right? That's what you would expect from someone like that. So that's exactly my question. How do you uphold the public forum? How do you uphold separation of church and state, and freedom of expression and freedom of speech and freedom of religion, when there is that separation of church and state, and religion has no part in politics? You can't really say.
Well, first off, like I said initially, separating someone's politics from their religion tends to be damn near impossible unless they don't have one. Unfortunately, here in the United States, there are places in this country where you cannot hold public office if you are not Christian, which is entirely illegal.
Yeah, I know places like Texas still have that on the books. I'm not sure if any of them are actually enforced.
Maryland actually has that on the books.
Here the situation is entirely different. I see we don't have that problem here. Politics and states and the state is very separated, and
where do you see
that those problems are much stronger in America.
Where's
He's in Germany someplace.
Huh?
Yeah. Well,
in church, nobody goes to church, to old people or something. But
you got to be careful though. In Germany, I heard the NPC is rising again, the Nazi Party. They're gaining political hold in whole towns now, from what I'm hearing.
It is a big problem that your religion is actually a thing for getting elected as president or something. That's actually
I'm sorry.
A very big problem. Yeah.
How do you pronounce your name? Kuntis? I'm not sure how. Kuntis? Okay. So you were talking
Mr.
about
Bacon.
Mr. Bacon. Okay. You were talking about how you were having that problem. I was trying to make that point in resonance with you. If you wanted to continue that story, I think you had a point where you were going with.
Yeah, well, that he's pretty much brought the whole Catholicism viewpoint into the way he's approaching his politics.
Into politics.
He's very right-wing, even though the title of his party is Liberal, which is the oxymoron of all time. And he's pushed the agenda of women should stay home, buy an ironing board, do the ironing, girls, just fucking stay out of the fucking way. He's got the lowest number of females on his cabinet and in his elected party that I think has ever been since the 1950s. He's very much pushed the agenda of, without actually saying it's Catholicism, he's pushed the, it's gone under the radar, the whole, his whole...
done under the guise of morality and, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And which is why he's stomped on the gay marriage proposal that was put up and approved, and then he got the Attorney General to kill it. It kind of mirrors what I've seen going on in the States, because except what's going on in the States, I see is it's actually more open and above board that this is a Christian thing, this is a Christian nation, and
my pastor. Let's put it like this: when Bush was elected for I think it was the second time, and I used to go to church back then. My pastor at the time got up in front of the church and said, I'm not going to tell you who to vote for, but you can either vote for Mr. Kerry or Brother Bush. These things are flat out. Oh, he's a Christian. He believes in evolution and abortions. So this guy over here will go with. And that's just, it has nothing to do with what they do as politicians, or other than the fact that they view this one fact, and I view this one fact, so let's elect them. Doesn't matter to our detriment or not.
And that's actually the root of the problem. They limit our freedom to say whatever we want. They censor. We can't use profanity. We can't blasphemy. We can't say this that because that's a sin. And then we become angry. And we use more profanity. That's a logical consequence of it. And then we're harassing them, and then we're bullying them, and that's fucked up.
So in a world where we want free speech to be available to all, in a world where we want freedom of religion, how do we, how do you effectively keep overtly religious policies from being made specifically because of religious policies? I guess it's the people you would have to reach.
That's a little easier. That's a little easier than you might think, actually. Teach people as children that freedom of religion also means freedom from religion.
It's a requirement. Yeah.
If you can get as a necessary consequence. See, that's the thing that most people these days don't seem to get.
Yeah.
Them days,
you want to be free to believe as you want to believe, and so does everybody else. At the same time, you want to be you should be free from the religions of other people. There are two ways to accomplish this. One, shut up about your religion, which is really not going to happen in the case of any Abrahamic.
It's part of their belief that they have to bring people in. That they are proselytizing religions by definition. It's required.
And when I refer to Abrahamics, I want to make myself completely clear. I refer to any religion that follows that follows the path of Abraham.
Yeah, so
What
that's
was
three
originally the
majors.
Pentateuch?
Yeah, the three
Okay,
majors.
that would be the
They're
three
all
majors
based
in the
on
Western
the
world.
book
It would be
of creation
Judaism,
and
Islam, and Christianity. They're all based on the same things and are created based on the same claim that they have direct lineage from Abraham and therefore are entitled to rule the world.
that's why their contradictions are very useful to them, because they can say it the one way, and if it doesn't fit their needs, they can say it can quote another part of the Bible that contradicts, and they get their way. That's yeah, dishonesty.
I'm
Not
actually
just the Bible,
surprised they've never bothered editing their Bible
the
so that
Quran
it
is
all
written
just comes
the
out
same
the way
way.
they want it.
So so as far
The
as I
Quran
know,
is written the same way.
okay, no, as far as I know, the Quran is the only Islamic, or no, excuse me, the Quran is the only Abrahamic text that specifically within the actual book gives you a way of getting out of those contradictions. The Quran specifically states that the newer the verse trumps older verses, right? So if there's a
That is
contradiction in the
correct.
Quran, like, and in the earlier part it says that it's a peaceful religion, later on it says bring the sword. So a Muslim would technically be allowed to lie to a non-believer in propagation, as long as it's in propagation of the religion, and to say that yes, Islam is a religion of peace, because that is technically in there. But to a devout reader of the Quran, they would understand that the peaceful passages is older, and thereby null and void by the newer, more violent.
The Quran actually literally says that if there are two contradictions, then the later part is the right part.
Yes, 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 it does. And it's, like I say, as far as I know, it's the only religious text that actually lays that out. So it is clear from the text itself that there are no contradictions in the Quran. If it says something that seems contradictory, the later it says it, the later one is true. You know, and that is a plus in that category of it. You can't get into these murky debates with these people, like these murky interpretation debates with these contradictions, because it clearly states. But on the other hand, there's a rule. I think it's Takia or something like that. That they can lie to you, the non-believer, as long as it's in propagation of Islam, without it being a lie. As long as it's go ahead.
To go a little back to topic, it has to do with it because the religions use the language to influence and to doctrinate, and that's why they are so afraid of freedom of expression, because there are things that if you say them in another way, they sound they have another interpretation, and that's why they are so afraid and from people saying what they want, and they are censoring this.
I think that's a bit of it. Yeah. They. All right. I just lost what I was about to say. Someone else go ahead.
Well, it's a fair indication of where Islam wants to go if you just have a look at what's going on in Great Britain.
And what is that?
They've pretty much taking over towns, more or less, and they will go out in groups.
Institute Sharia law.
Yeah, they've set up Sharia courts all over the place with the sanction of the local MP. It's been slipped in here to a certain extent too. It's very quiet. Nobody said anything about it, but it came up on one of the free-to-air stations here a while back that Sharia courts are alive and well in Great Britain, and to a certain extent here in Sydney, especially around Cabramatta, which has a fairly high Muslim count of population.
So now it's the Muslim belief that they are at war with the non-Islamic world until all the world is Islam. A, that B, that Sharia needs to be instituted in all governments, and C, that they are not legally, but they are morally allowed to lie as long as it's a propagation of the faith. Yet here we live in America specifically. I'm talking right now that in a free country that then says you have the right to believe all that, and you have the right to express that, and but our government cannot run off of one government. So how in the most contradictory of ways, how do we get around it? How do we let this live while still protecting our secular government?
Is there not something in America like the First Amendment? Do they call it?
Or freedom of speech. Yeah, First Amendment would be.
Or is the Second Amendment that it's not a Christian nation or something like that?
There's nowhere that actually specifically says
you're not allowed to take my guns away.
Yeah, I'm not an expert on any of that, but I do understand that there's no point in the Constitution or anything that actually says that it's it says, okay, I would say this. It says that like Cage said, it says it will be damn, I just lost the words again. Freedom of religion. Freedom of religion.
Hang on a second.
What?
It's the of and the from.
Let me grab the text for you.
Okay.
Stand by for a moment. Let's look at what it actually says before we try and interpret.
Very
because
good.
This is okay. It says here, Amendment 1, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and petition the government for redress.
Okay, so in that, okay.
That is exactly what it states.
Read the beginning part one more time.
Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof.
Okay, right there. So right
there.
there.
The freedom of speech.
All right, so right there. So how do you knowing what Islam believes, how do you then keep that? Like the point of Islam, the goal of Islam is to have everybody Islamic, to have Sharia law everywhere. And that's the same thing of Christianity. They're not, it's to have everybody believe in their God and worship their version of the God. So the government cannot make a law that establishes one religion over another, and they can't prevent any religions from expressing themselves. Essentially, no? Is that correct?
That would be correct.
Okay.
I honestly don't think that the people that wrote this were really thinking that far ahead. But at the same time, it leaves space open for the atheists amongst us, to those who are so thoroughly doused in the gasoline that is their religious beliefs, that they insist on being idiots. I mean, you should see some of the shit I catch. You should see some of the stuff I've done about flat earthers or creationists. Holy crap, these people are insane.
Yeah, it hurts my head to listen to a lot of them. It's just, but
I love creationists.
It gives me a headache.
Give me a good time.
So all right. So my question still.
I need to start working on a Creation Arts video.
Oh, hell yeah. That'd be fun.
See,
So-
unfortunately, Max, what you're asking here is the $64 million question. How do we do this? The answer is, I don't know that we can. Not the way things are currently in step. Something will have to give, and unfortunately, it's probably going to happen violently. Actually, not even unfortunately, it's already happening violently. Well, unfortunately, what you have here is you have one group of people who is not only known to be violent, but insists on being violent, and their entire purpose in existence is to gain respect for themselves by means of punishing everyone else. I mean,
what
some
frightens me
point
the
or
most
another,
about
it's going to wind up. At some point or another, the lashback is going to get violent, and I don't know that there's a whole lot of way to stop it, short of abolishing religion altogether. And we all know how well that worked for Stalin.
Yeah, no, that's not something that we even want to, attempt. That's not something that,
It's not something we can do, really.
It's
not even possible.
We would wish to happen that it would just, like a candle flame, finally flicker out, like the fandom of a fucking loaded gun or whatever. But the point is, we don't want a nation that bans something like religion or freedom of speech, or I mean, I don't.
Well, it's not a matter of a nation. It would have to happen. If it's not a matter of a nation, it would have to happen planet-wide. It would actually take a rather a huge feat of social engineering to make that work. See, me, myself, and I, just because I'm an asshole like this, I would much prefer it if it died out on its own.
Yeah.
And most of the people in this room work to that end.
That'd be great if it died out on its own. But what I'm saying is we can't go around.
Outstanding.
That would be. And what I'm saying is that would be awesome, but we can't go around telling people, okay, well, you can't believe in this stuff anymore, or maybe like a campaign to educate the poorest of countries type of thing. And religion is heaviest in the poorest of countries. And again, the poorest of those, the most religious of those are under Sharia law, so it's really tight. You can't even be, women can't show her face without getting stoned.
That aren't under Sharia law are being indoctrinated rather quickly by we're probably just going to have it's like I said, the chances of this not coming to blows is pretty damn small. There's really not, and I don't know that there's going to be any help for it. And I know that I sound like a real downer about now, but given what I see on a regular basis, I'm a bit pessimistic as to whether or not this thing's going to die quietly while nobody else is looking.
I see problems rising too, yeah. The problem is, especially Islam, Muslims aren't afraid to die. They think this life is just a transitional thing to what they're actually going through. And that's especially for fundamentalistic Muslims, and they think heaven is their ultimate goal, and what happens here in life is just something they have to go through, and that's frightening because we actually know that life ends after this, so
Well, I'm not sure how much we know that. But
no, but I think that
we have no evidence to say otherwise.
But well, that's what. I'm not trying to say otherwise. I'm just saying I don't think we have the evidence to say that we know for a fact that there's nothing next. But we don't have any evidence to say there is.
There's always hope.
We have no
Pandora's
evidence.
box.
We have no evidence beyond holy books that can be thoroughly debunked in an afternoon to suggest that God exists. That's why I don't. That's why I tell people that are trying to debate me on some sort of academic ground that if they're going to quote their Bible, they're out of line already. Because it is general their holy book, not even their Bible, their holy book. Because it is generally accepted as a matter of academic parlance that a person making a claim because she said so is wrong.
The Bible is historically accurate. That's
You know, here's the logic. Here's my logic. If the Bible is the inerrant word of God, then then God exists because God said so? Huh?
Yeah.
Tell me that's not special pleading.
Yeah.
Someone tell me where that does not where that is not circular.
Oh, that's right up there with the Spider-Man comic argument, mate. Spider-Man exists because Spider-Man is in a book.
Yeah. Harry Potter. Yeah.
the Bible is true because the Bible is true, says the Bible.
If you presented that to a Christian, if you presented it as Spider-Man, no Christian would object. I present it as God. People flip out. It's great every freaking time.
Yep.
But God is also.
Then when I start pulling records, then when I start pulling the records from the areas around Egypt, about in response to the whole Noah's Ark in Exodus. Well, how does nobody in China have a record of a worldwide freaking flood?
Yeah.
Crickets every time.
Fake stories.
Nobody in China, nobody in North America, no oral history from what would now be Kansas about a global flood, and that would be some of the most respected in modern times of the Native American civilizations. Let's think about that for a minute. Think about how that works. The short version of it is, it doesn't. If there's no record in any other part of the world about a global flood, chances are it didn't happen that way. You may have gotten flooded in the Fertile Crescent. I'll buy that. It happens on a regular basis.
We have multiple flood stories about rivers flooding in China, in the Nile in Egypt, and I think it's just put together from that and made it global.
they can actually trace the
believe it or not, we can trace. I'm sorry, we were headed for the same damn point.
Yep.
We can actually trace the flood story back to the Epic of Gilgamesh. We can actually if you go dig through the Pentateuch, and then follow it up with a reading of Gilgamesh.
Yeah.
The parallels are just fantastic. It's not the same words, but damn, it's the same freaking story.
Well, most people also think that Judaism, so the Jews were the first people to implement the one God monotheism. But actually, that's already happened in Egypt with Akhenaton. He tried to only worship Ra. He was thrown over, and
that didn't go well either.
That didn't go well either, but he tried it already. So monotheism was already tried, and most people don't actually know that.
What most people don't understand is the Israelites originally were not monotheistic. They were what's referred to as henotheistic. means that they believed in multiple gods, and the Old Testament makes that clear. But they had what's referred to as a house god or a god of the fathers, and that's what the Genesis. I'm the God of your fathers, Abraham and Isaac, and so they believe in a whole range of gods, but they hold one above, and that's actually the God of Genesis is actually El, who was the head god of the Canaanite pantheon. The Israelites were basically a cult of Canaanites, and until they eventually broke apart, and by then they were monotheistic. But all the time before then, they were Canaanite. It was El, and then they changed the names a little bit, and they were still hentheistic. They still believed in multiple gods, and it just exalted the one, and then eventually all the other gods just sort of, oh well, we don't believe in them anymore. It's just the one.
That's why.
What? Can I interject here?
Yeah.
Just to kind of build on what Max was saying. Yes, that's correct. Kind of mostly. The first mention of Yahweh comes from Mesopotamia, for sons of El, and by means of conquest. All of the other gods were just kind of absorbed into what was Yahweh, or what he would think of, or into the creature we now think of as Yahweh.
That's why
the flip side of this, of course,
is actually
we're still dealing with Abraham's house god.
Mm-hmm. Well, is actually many times how do you say it in English? Compared with the devil, linked to the devil or a demon. But
later on,
he said that you shall not have other gods before me. That implies that there were other gods. So
there had to have been.
It doesn't say.
Now here's a trivia question for you guys. Here's a trivia question for you guys to see if you could pick. Let's see who was paying attention in Muslim history class or Destiny versus Religion 1, whichever you want, whichever you like. Who was Allah originally?
I don't know much about Islam, so.
Crap! I was only reading that the other day. No, gone.
Allah was actually a moon god that was worshipped in Medina, of all places.
Yeah, I read that. Okay,
and it's the only thing left of that original. The only thing left of the original deity, in fact, is its name, because Muhammad, when he went to Medina, took the name and left the rest. He then constructed a new version of Allah based on what he could get of the Jewish, the Judeo-Christian belief from the people that he had spent all that time with, running back and forth across trade routes from the age of 15.
You were talking about Baal, and he's actually he was later on it tries to associate him with the devil. He was actually the Canaanite god of the sea.
I have also read in some stories he could be actually the son of El.
Yeah. The whole pantheon is they're all children of that. That's why El is the head of the pantheon of the Canaanite.
God of War, actually.
Yeah, and
he's also the progenitor god.
Yeah, and then later on, he's actually associated into so in Canaanite psalms and things, they speak like, oh Baal, your spirit moves upon the waters and things like this, and it's the same way that God is referenced in Genesis as his face moved upon the waters of the deep, or his spirit moved upon the waters of the deep. Yeah, it's the same. They just took the way that, oh, that God was described like this. Well, no, that's what our God does. You know, you were just attributing your God or whatever. Yeah, it's a crazy like to study how like even on YouTube they have a Yale whole series of how the Old Testament was put together. You know, and people will actively avoid that just to hold the belief that you know it's just somebody just sat down and wrote these books or something like that. You know.
I love to read
Odd to
the
bits.
similarities between ancient religions and the Abrahamic religions. There are stories that completely overlap and completely are similar. So.
Enuma Elish, yeah.
Mhm.
One, yeah, Enuma Elish is a older story than Genesis, and it describes the creation of the world in a lot of the same ways. Well, a little bit differently, but a lot of the same ways.
Actually, we were talking about freedom of expression, and we've got a bit of fire, but I don't fucking care.
Always
Well,
get sucked down in different rabbit
I
holes.
think it's turned out to be quite an interesting lesson in the history of freedom of speech, because these guys have forced their views on others in the past and gotten their own way.
That's a good
This
point.
is where we go when you go with religion.
That's a very good point.
That's right.
Yeah.
Actually, but then again, the bulk of the threats that come from freedom of speech come from the other half of the First Amendment, which is what I think Max has been after this entire time.
Wow. Yeah, that was one of my little points. Yeah. Yeah, and yeah, so let's circle back around to that for a second. Anybody have any ideas on how? And okay, yeah, I was going to bring up that in a different light. Okay, so I watched a documentary on Vice that was talking about how the Nazi Party is basically taking over power in a lot of towns in Germany again. And so, like, you know, there's a lot of neo-Nazis and these types of people here in America too, KKK members. And I mean, you can't strip people their right to religion or their right to believe that, you know, whatever they want to. I mean, you can limit their freedom of expression as well. Would lynching be under freedom of expression? I mean, see that how do you keep the public forum clear and free for these people to enjoy it, while at the same time, you know, letting these crazy ideas that very, very, very much harm the safety of the public forum thrive.
It's actually, I think the problem is in the education of the children. They are put with those beliefs already from childhood. They learn it in school. What I've learned in school, I regard as true because your teacher says it. He has studied. I am.
I don't remember much of
a
school.
little
Everything I've learned is
asshole
online.
brat of 12 years old who knows no fucking thing, and who only want to translate. But you believe what your teacher says. So if your teachers teach you that creationism is right and evolution is wrong, yeah, you believe that, and you grow up with that, and beliefs that are yeah, in your mind that you believe from childhood are much stronger and much more difficult to overcome than beliefs that or things that you learn in later life. So
That's a scary thing then. I mean, because on the other hand, you also don't want to indoctrinate children into a no God view, or you don't want to indoctrinate children into any view. And if you start seemingly at that young, then no matter what, it seems like you're indoctrinating, not teaching. I'm not against children learning, obviously, but my point being, you know, how do you, okay, in this case, how do you teach a child? I mean, you teach a child how to think, not what to think.
well, I
Indoctrinate them with how to critically think things through. That's proper indoctrination. That's teaching.
I think it's also very important, and that's what they don't do. Not even here. Also, tell the kids from young age, if they are in school, that everything they are taught could be disproven or by new studies, etc. And that's what children don't get taught. I think.
So, in a land where freedom of expression is by constitution, given by constitution, and that would include a religious school. I assume you have the right to. I mean, would under any the UN or any constitution is education, proper education, factual education, a basic human right?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, I would think so.
Creationism here in school, that's bullshit. It's never taught. I never heard from it before Google Plus. So
that's the thing.
Well, and here it tends to vary on where you are. I mean, the Texas School Board has declared that Moses is a founding father of the United States. So you don't move to Texas. If you live there, move out. Stay away from just stay away from the American Bible Belt. You'll live longer.
So how do you? I mean, okay. So maybe if we could do something like initiate, by constitution worldwide that. See, then again. See, I can always see. Okay, so if you implemented something like educate every child with true factual information, leave out the religious stuff, just talk about physics, history, that, and maybe instead of outlawing religion, maybe you could make it illegal to teach children religious things, and then let them get to the age of reason, and then they can learn it.
Then you're censoring again, so.
It's just as many problems as.
Mm-hmm.
So. Yeah.
Well, you have that is its own can of worms. You are actually telling people how they can and can't raise their children, and that unfortunately is going to wind up back up your ass faster than you. Never mind.
Yeah, absolutely, and so that brings me back to
light
school.
Speed would not be.
So that brings me back to schools. So in the freedom of religious expression, we're allowed to and the right to raise our children as we see fit. We're allowed to send our children to religious schools and teach them yellow is purple and up is down, and my butthole is candy. So how do you draw the line, and how do you fix something like that while still giving religious people freedom of religion?
Make part of their curriculum philosophical thought, critically thinking, Plato, Socrates, the lot.
Yeah.
Then you'd be forcing that upon. I mean, in a.
They can have all the other teaching they want, but that has to be part of it.
That critical thinking, that I've seen church billboards that says, critical or thinking for yourself is the devil's playground, or shit like that. That they view critical thinking, they view self-thought as evil almost. Most of them. I mean, they won't say questioning. Questioning is good. Come to us with your questions, we'll answer them. But then if you don't buy the answers, then it's like the devil's got a hold of your mind or something.
Yeah.
That just by asking, just by telling people that you can teach them whatever, but you have to teach your children this. That will get a lot of the fundamentalists up in a.
It's also in the mentality of the parents. You have to have your children make their own choices. If they want to be believe in the God, they believe. Look, that's what I was doing. I was baptized. See. You know me now, so that doesn't mean a shit. So I mean, I was allowed to make my own choices. If I believed, I believed. If I not didn't believe, I didn't believe. And that was never a point. And that's what I think it's, and that's also freedom of expression, freedom to let your children think for themselves.
But you're not going to find very many whatever families allow their children to do that, because it says right there in their Bible, teach your children so they don't run astray.
Yeah.
So, like if you make critical thinking part of the curriculum, no matter what school it is, all right, they're going to get upset about it, they're going to jump up and down, and they're going to do their level best with all their other classes to try and pull that critical thinking lesson down. However, there are the kids, that's just the message is going to go in. The rest of them are going to be susceptible sheep, and that's the way it's going to go.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, as long as you can institute something like that in a more generalized public schools, then yeah, majority of kids will get it. In a generation, you'll have at least a majority of hopefully more educated.
See, here's the problem. School boards are elected.
Sorry.
Okay, here's the problem with that. School boards are elected creatures and are generally elected by the communities that they reportedly serve. They're not serving the kids; they're serving the parents. And if you get a sufficiently religious group of people in a single into a small area, which they tend to like to do, then you're going to have people like the Discovery Institute going to prey on these school boards and their religious convictions to try and accomplish things like teach the controversy. Even if they only manage to separate the schools, just the schools, completely from religion, would make everybody's life a whole lot easier inside of 5 generations.
The problem here is that the children actually get taught the things they actually know for certain that aren't true, and that's what the problem is. That's wrong.
Yeah, the problem you're going to run into there,
Casey Luskin of that.
The problem you're going to run into, Cargo, is though that they're going to say you won't let us set up one of our schools. That's squashing our freedom of religious expression. You won't get past it.
Yeah. Yeah, that unfortunately, that's the public schools are the primary vehicle for building in any culture for building the next generation. Yeah, and I would much rather not have to spend all of my time after school trying to deprogram kids that have been told that the Earth was created 6,000 years ago.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Even a requirement for evidence-based education, rather than general philosophy, at least K through at least the K through 8 level, would help matters immensely.
Yeah.
Anybody under the age of 14 really doesn't have the mental capacity get a grip on what might or might not be evidence. Critical thinking and the scientific process need to be taught first.
And what is evidence? Everyone has different. I think that's my opinion. I could be wrong. That everyone has different feeling. What is enough evidence to believe something?
The short version of it is if a piece of evidence can make it through if a piece of evidence can survive the academic arena, then it's probably good. Which is about as best we can do in science anyway.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I can say that.
Hey, Bob.
Greetings, Bob.
Sorry I'm late, guys.
Welcome.
Where have you been?
Hey, all good.
Don't even ask.
He's been hiding in a corner watching us.
Well, we'll go with that.
He's watching us be silly over here.
Yeah, we deviated there, but I actually my plan was to ask the people that are viewing but not participating. I don't know, but there aren't many I see. To ask us questions, but I think it isn't a very good idea for right now. So.
Right. Who's all?
Robert. Okay, Robert Bentham. That's you, Bob, right? Or no?
No, I'm Bob Crofts.
All right. I need to get a link posted for somebody here. Actually, Doc, you think you could do us all a favor and send Robert a proper link to get in?
No, Robert.
Complaining
Robert
here
Bentham.
about 10 minutes ago that he couldn't. Yes, he's complaining here about 10 minutes ago that he couldn't get that he can't seem to get in.
Oh, I normally send him the link too, but I'll do it again. No problem.
So I don't know if you've heard much of the conversation so far, Bob. Have you heard anything, or are you just?
Not even at all, actually. I had some computer problems just before it started, so.
Yeah,
no fun.
We've been getting a little bit right now into basically the main question that I've been trying to ask is in a situation like here in America where you have definite freedom of religion, but you have the wall. How do you effectively keep the public forum safe of these contagious ideas? These ideas that'll destruct the stability of the public forum while still allowing them their right to have these ideas.
That's actually, it's still my considered opinion that is actually just the risk we have to take, and the best way to deal with it is just to push back at it in the public forum. You use the public forum as a weapon, as the vehicle by which you push back on the people that are trying to destroy it. Which you will note is actually something I've been doing quite often as far as what I do with my video making.
No, that I agree with.
Interesting. I like that idea.
That's the only way to. That's the only realistic way to accomplish it. Unfortunately, they're louder than we are.
Yeah. So if you have a destructive ideology that, like Islam, would be a destructive ideology to our public forum, for it to take charge. How do you keep any idea from taking charge of the public forum? Well, I mean, you say fight back against it, but like Christianity, that there's this. We've got a goddamn fundamentalist in charge of NASA right now. How the hell do you know what I mean?
Yeah, don't get me started on Cruz. Don't even get me started on Cruz.
So how do we effectively deal with something? Okay, it's taking over the public forum more and more and more. Christianity in specific here in America. And you're just saying, okay, fight back with the public forum. But when the majority of people will say, oh, I'm Christian and I don't like that dude's politics, but because he's a Christian, I'll vote for him over the non-Christian or the other person, then that effectively negates the freedom of the public forum. That effectively negates the balance of it.
He got rid of some term, didn't it? No? Because he was a Mormon, no? Didn't that have anything to do with it?
Wait, what now?
Yeah, Ted Cruz wants to be president, and he will get to be so over my dead body. I'll move to Japan first.
I don't think any real president candidate is actually a real a real Christian. Was it religion is what was it again?
The opiate of the masses.
Yeah.
Hey Bob, you're we're getting reverb from you. Could you like mute yourself if you're not talking, or put on headphones or something?
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, it's eating at me. Cool. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah. I'm not sure. Like, I don't know. The opiate. Yeah. I don't know. It seems an apt description half the time, and the other half the time, it seems like the better description is. So who said that on Atheist Experience? Or someone says that they're not the opiate of the masses. They're like they're homeopathy of the spiritual world. You know, they make up the shit and then sell you the cure for it.
Entirely true. Oh.
So half the time,
there's another thing you don't want to get me started on.
Half the time I see it as, yes, it's definitely people use this as a way of quelling their fears of the afterlife, as a way of, helping themselves in anxiety, as a form of meditation, almost, in a sense. And in that sense, yeah, I can see how it helps people, opiate of the masses. And on the other hand, yeah, I just see it as the other half of the time that people are just trying to use it to get a one-up, an upper hand on someone else, to be better, to feel superior, to get control. That whole range.
Water approval rating.
Actually, you can just underestimate the fear of someday not existing. I yesterday had a conversation with someone where I said the same thing. Nobody likes the idea that they're going to cease to exist. So, how do you deal with that? And that is much more powerful than we actually.
I don't know about anybody else, but I'm looking forward to the idea of not existing. I'm bipolar, and my emotions drive me crazy. Half the time, I feel like pulling out my hair. It's not a fun existence. If it wasn't for cannabis, I still wouldn't be alive. But most people, I understand the gist, though. But there are plenty of people out there that are just like me. Yeah. So there's a giant group of people out there that are just like, just let it be done.
So I have a question for you, Max.
Yeah.
I have a strange question for you. Where is it that you are in the United States?
California.
Oh.
Yeah.
Ooh. The land of the social justice warrior. I'm sorry.
Well, that's what I was about to say. We're relatively safe from the creationists taking over public schools, but we have problems of our own.
God's gonna send an earthquake one of these times.
That's all right. My state is the one that plays host to the Discovery Institute.
Oh, yeah.
And we don't like their bullshit either.
And once again, as an Australian, I'd like to apologise for not strangling Ken Ham at an early age.
Yeah,
that's all right.
How did you do that? Get him to America get him to leave.
Ken Ham is one interesting.
Actually, it's actually really simple. Ken left of his accord. He came here because he could make more money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The larger number of creationists there's a larger percentage of creationists here by volume than there is anywhere else on the planet.
But as I say, we want this place to be a land where people can come and have their beliefs, So it's almost like an oxymoron.
Ah, you mean like military intelligence or Microsoft Works?
You can have your beliefs, but if they're harmful to your environment or to other people, then there's a problem with it, and that's why we have to be able to scrutinize or to criticize every belief and every idea.
Make sure you bring it back to you.
Yeah, I definitely hold that in the freedom of expression, and I definitely hold with your view that includes the freedom of offense. That's a tightrope to walk, though. You know.
I know I can go too far sometimes. Too
Well,
far.
Well,
I'm always careful. I think to not be abusive. I think there is a big difference to be abusive to people or to just say fuck off.
yeah, and I mean, even saying like, oh no, you're a moron, can get to be a tightrope to the point of, that's technically an insult. But then if in the process of your conversation they've shown themselves to be intellectually lazy, it's a description,
incapable.
not a. Incapability is I think a different that's kind of like making fun of a one-legged guy because he can't run fast. If you're mentally incapable of doing it, then, well, for one, why are you? But yeah, I think moron, or personally, I wouldn't go that far. But then again, that's the whole thing about it. Is that, I mean, that would be in the category of the right to offend. No, you'd still have. I mean,
Yes, it would. Just because you're offended by something I had to say doesn't mean that I didn't have the right to say it.
But I think I don't call you stupid because you're wrong. I call you stupid because you know you're wrong and you won't admit it. That's why I call you stupid.
I have a T-shirt that says I have a T-shirt that says I'm not insulting you, I'm just describing you, and I got that because of my conversations with people. And that's very. But my point is like. So in this, would someone have the right to purposefully offend? Say, walk up to someone with no arms and no legs and go, "Hey, quaddie," or you know what I mean? Like, just purposely be antagonizing. Catch me now.
Well,
Take his hat.
Unfortunately, at this point, yes, that it's not right to do something like that, but it is legal.
Well, legal. Yeah, and to a point. What was that? Would it be illegal to steal you guys' hat?
I agree on that one. I just think that people that do things like that do more of a disservice to themselves than to the person they're insulting. Like, if a person is openly racist now, they're only really insulting themselves and doing themselves a disservice to their own social standing.
That's a very good point. I was talking with someone the other day, and I was saying that I don't see much blatant external racism. I see people using like poverty as a justification of racism. That is, but any blatant outright because you're this, I feel this way anymore. I don't see much of that at all, and that could be a good point. They're hurting themselves in the long run with that outlook or with that output. Than anything else. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, this is where freedom of speech kind of plays in our favour, because if people openly speak about certain things in that way, they're just hurting themselves, really. They're making themselves look like bigots, or making themselves look stupid. I mean, the WBC are the best example of that. No one likes them. They're free to pick out funerals all they want, but the most hated group.
It's like me.
Probably.
It's like me telling a standing room only group of flat earthers that they're absolutely freaking wrong. They will be completely offended by it. But you know what? They're still wrong. I have not made a statement which is not true.
But we have to be grateful that they are there, because where would the comedians come from otherwise? So.
Very true.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, I unfortunately I can't argue with that. What happens to all the comedians? They just die.
No, we've still got them in Australia.
No, you've been exporting them of recent years.
Yeah, that's what I was just like.
You're still talking to one, because every Australian is part fucking Canadian. We think we're fucking right.
Well, actually, for what I see of most Aussies, you'd be right. They actually are a lot of them actually are quite funny. It's just some of them are funny in ways that no one should ever be funny.
That's always been the thing with us, and I think it's why people like fundamentalists end up leaving here, really, because they come up and they tell us their shit, and it's just like, yeah, really? Yeah, you want to shut up? Do you want a fucking chop or a fucking steak off the barbie? Do you get a fucking beer while you're at it?
Since she is up, give me a beer.
It's why atheism has taken such a good hold here. We just really don't give a fuck. What the religious think. You're offended? Okay, yeah, good on you. Do you want to chop, or do you want to get a fucking beer while you're at it, or And then they generally just go away.
I'll have a prawn. I'll have a prawn. Thanks.
Oh, good, he's got it right. You didn't call it a fucking shrimp.
I recognize myself, I don't give a fuck too, so...
I try not to give a fuck.
Quite feeling nice in Australia, I think.
I try not to give a fuck, but unfortunately, like I was saying earlier, I deal with the people who, like some of my close friends who think that Christianity doesn't hurt people, and that in the political arena right now, it's not more harmful than helpful. Simply, like I get these people to say,
you've got the strangest friends, dude. I'm telling you.
Right, and we've come out of fundamentalist UPCI, United Pentecostal, and Bible thumping, holy rolling, tongue talking. Yeah, Bible is literally true. Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. And a lot of it's, he was raised, one person in particular was raised in it, and that is brainwashing. It's torture. It's mental torture. It literally is. And
you see, here's the thing. I don't actually have a problem with Christians speaking as long as they're not pushing their delusion. It's fact. As soon as they start trying, as soon as they mark their videos education or science and technology, then I have to take issue.
Yeah.
Because that's something that needs to happen.
There's a replica
that needs to be put down in a hurry.
There's a replica of the Ark of Noah in Kentucky.
Yeah, Ken Ham is building it.
Yeah. Yeah, and he had to use modern, cranes and big
modern techniques.
He's not basically in the process proving that a 900-year-old man with 6 people and a couple axes couldn't fucking do it. No, like I just don't understand how it hasn't clicked in his head yet.
Yeah, except that he only had 3 people. When you think about it.
Oh yeah.
You had Noah. You had his 3 sons. You had Noah's wife and his sons' wives. His wife and his sons' wives wouldn't have been involved. Couldn't have been involved because of the nature of the beast. So what you have here is you have 4 people over the course of 100 years building a boat that's going to break apart the second the water hits it.
And somehow all animals in the world knew to come to that one place to get on that boat. So, actually,
but we have genetic evidence that proves there was no such bottleneck.
Well, like I say, it all goes like to bring it back to the actual topic. These people have the right to believe it, and they have the right to teach their children this. It's just they do, and I personally wouldn't want to take that away from anybody. Like I said earlier, I wish it would die out on its own, but I don't want to go around stripping it of people, and I don't want it to be stripped from people.
Assuming we live, if we survive the next 300 years, it might actually go away. I won't be here to see it, but hopefully some of my descendants will be.
Why do you think that? What's your reason?
Well,
I'm going to live forever, so this is for me.
Excuse me.
Yeah, I'm gonna. I'm the first atheist that's gonna live forever. So. Yeah.
Science. The march of science keeps driving God into smaller and smaller holes. At some point, there's really not going to be any holes that all that large left, and and they're going to be forced to
You really think
concede
that's
that
going
their
to stop
position
some
is
of the
tenable.
fundamental stuff?
Oh no, it won't survive. I'm talking about as a sociological certainty. The idea that this is going, the idea that that the average person that is going to here in 300 years, 3 or even 500 years, is going to be able to think, wow, this God thing is really great. I mean, obviously, you're still going to have your idiots and your morons, but only the most extreme will even go there. The rest will have the idea that such a thing at some point existed, that but as a functional as a functional societal meme, the Abrahamics and most of the other religions are going to go the same way Zeus and Thor did. Will there be anything to replace it? I don't know.
Well, I mean,
the Greek gods and Zeus and Jupiter and stuff like that, they were actually fun gods.
I agree.
With a sense of humor, so. Yeah.
Statistics actually shown that.
I agree. See, the thing is, Yahweh is such a Mary Sue that he doesn't even work in a literary fashion. I mean, I write books, and if I put together a character like that, they'd laugh. Anybody that wanted to publish me would laugh me right out of their office.
That's the difference between the monotheistic and the how do you say that in English? Multi-theistic. I'm Dutch, and
usually the word is pantheism.
Gods, they were made to explain natural phenomena, things that people couldn't understand. But the Abrahamic religions, like God and Yahweh and Allah and stuff like that, they were created to make the people fear them and control them. And that's the big difference between.
I don't know about that. Well, for one, sorry, was Cage that?
Kage.
Shit, what is it? Kage, what is it you just said?
What I just said.
No,
I said the word in English is pantheism. Really says the usual word.
Right. No, pantheism refers to God is everything. It's polytheism.
Polytheism. I'm sorry. Right. You are correct.
Get the
I
word.
stand corrected.
Right. And okay. And right. What is it you were just saying, Doctor?
Doctor, that's me. Doctor.
Yes, that would be you, Carlo.
Sorry. Carlo. Sorry, I can't see your full name.
It's funny as people call me Doctor. So, what was your question again?
What is it you just said? I was going to say something to what you just said, but I've been switching gears a bunch of times.
Well, the difference between polytheistic and monotheistic gods, so the Abrahamic gods, etc., was the polytheistic gods, Egyptian, Sumerian, Greek, Roman, Norse. They were made up to explain natural phenomena, earthquakes, lightning, things that people couldn't understand. But the monotheistic gods were more made to make people fear them and to control, have more control of the common people.
I can test I can test the wording of that simply because I think especially you talk about the Israelites, like we were talking earlier, they were originally worshiping El, which was the Canaanite god, just like all the other Canaanites. So I think they reinterpreted their gods to control their people. I agree with that definitely. But they were never. I don't think I used to believe the whole concept of God was invented to control people, but looking at the way that it was actually put together, I think all of it started as ways to explain things, and from there people reinterpreted and took a piece over here, a piece over there, put it all together, and then used that to then control people. So you're definitely right. Yeah.
Do you know the Norse gods of Norway, Odin, and they had no god of war? actually.
Really, I haven't actually studied much of that.
Oh, I've studied quite a few religions in my time, and he's pretty much on the money. As far as Abrahamic religions go, it seems like they picked. It seems like they went digging around. They picked one, and then did their utter damnedest to put together a story that everyone else was going to believe, or at least enough to get to get them to start asking questions, and then hammered them with it, usually with a sword.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Most of the Old Testament, their prayers to God and all that are smite my enemies, and if the God wins, helps them win the battle, then see, this God protects us, this God helps us win, and if they were overtaken, then that's when the God is given up.
Polytheistic religions were way less violent than monotheistic religions, if you see history. So there are some explanation for it.
The Greek city-states fought with each other. No, I believe there was wars, inner wars between them all the time, and they had all the same gods. Like Athens was, dedicated to Athena, and they had the different hot spots for the gods, and they would all fight with each other. I think it's always been just as violent.
But that wouldn't necessarily be true today.
Well, that could explain why Rome was so what's the word I'm searching for?
Imperialistic.
In the way they take imperialistic and efficient in the way they actually managed to maintain control over it. They would just adapt the normal gods that were there to their gods, and away they went. It was cultural imperialism.
And then we have Constantine, who made it worse.
Yeah.
Hey there, Bentham. Time no see.
How you going, mate?
I finally managed to get on.
Woohoo! Nice to meet you.
Welcome.
Hi, Robert.
Yeah, nice to meet you guys too.
So now you actually get to hear the voice that actually goes on, that actually exists behind all the synth voices on my channel.
Right?
No, but the camera makes us a little more ugly, so we're a lot more handsome in real life.
Right.
I don't think I could out attractive anybody that's any of the people that usually appear on my channel. Like,
I have a similar issue.
What were you drawn to?
If you're not familiar with my channel, now might be a good time. Trust me, I am definitely not cuter than Ren.
Funny.
Yeah, well, welcome,
so
Robert.
What's everybody doing?
How have you heard much of the discussion so far, or?
Well, yeah, actually, I was watching the live feed on the YouTube there, and I've been listening to it, and then it finally just, I don't know what happened, but it just finally just let me on. Technology,
Yeah, I know how that goes. So what's your take on anything that's been said or gone on so far?
I was kind of interested in the part where you guys were talking about how during the elections, with the Ted Cruz thing, for example, how it's almost de facto that you have to be a Christian in order to get elected in this country. I mean, and it's just
Yeah. I was trying to say that earlier.
And you know, it makes it kind of hard to have a social. Excuse me.
You're lagging.
Yeah.
Everybody's all trying to talk over.
It cuts out every
Kind
time.
of late Friday night.
Yeah, it's just a crazy thing to try to ponder that this place is, and then they try to say it's a Christian nation, but that this the United States is developed on this idea that that all religions have equal grounds. There's the government, and they just don't, you don't interfere with that, and that was adamant here in the United States up until recently, and now it's just this opposite trend that people don't pay attention to actual politics or anything. I don't think anybody ever really did. But, the buzzwords now, I guess, are, is Christian and whatnot. And this mania takes over to quite an extent that it almost, like I was saying earlier, it defeats the freedom or it defeats the balance of the public forum, in my opinion. I mean, I guess maybe them's just the rules, so you have to play with it or play by them. But it's a weird. I mean, how do the rules start then? You know what I'm saying? If the rules were one thing, but now they're another thing simply because of buzzword changes or whatnot. Does everybody get where I'm trying to go with this? Or am I just rambling?
Oh yeah. No, I get you.
No, I see where you're going with that. I just. Yes, those are the rules we have to play by, unfortunately. And, in some ways, it's actually not a bad thing.
Okay, in what
Because
way?
on one hand, if you know what the other side is up to, because they have the freedom to, be silly in a public place, that means you know exactly what you need to argue against.
And
it's
unfortunately,
not great, but it's a place to start.
Yeah, that's almost non-effective because my whole point was that these people are elected, because Christian. So you can't argue against Christianity and win majority of the Christians. That's just not going to happen. You have to argue.
But the thing you can do, and I've always held this, is that you can educate the people that are sitting on the fence.
That's a good point.
If you've got a group of people that are absolutely 100% dyed-in-the-wool Christian, you've got another group of people who think that Christianity is just a bunch of crap, and you will almost always have a third set going, is on something or are they onto something? And if you aim at the guy that you cannot convince by challenging him directly, then the folks that are going, oh yeah, the folks in the middle are going, oh, ouch, yeah, those guys are on something. I'm gonna go hang out with these guys instead. It's a question of then it becomes a question of how well you can argue and with what evidence, rather than become a question of rather than the other guy just sitting there without being challenged.
But if rationality and evidence was the initial, if that's the key, then that would have affected them already on the fence. No, I mean,
evidence is
not necessarily
effective when debating with literal Bible thumpers. They just don't buy the evidence, and that's very frustrating because if I want to debate seriously with a Christian or a religious person, I like to use evidence. I like to use facts, but they don't believe that, and that's so frustrating that you say, "It's my ass," and you start to ridicule, and that's a problem also.
So you don't start ridiculing them until they do it to you first. That's the way it works.
I mean, like I've
actually had some success with this theory.
So was someone okay? If you, I mean, if you're dealing with someone on the fence, they're on the fence because they're not using reason, and so if you, like, I don't know. So so even the moderate Christians
See,
that
the
I've dealt with,
the objective, the objective.
and they say things like, oh, the Bible, oh, well, oh, that doesn't mean that, it means this, and of course it's interpretation. That's what you do with these things, and I don't think these people understand the solidity of rationality and evidence in the first place to be able to accept it. That's why they're on the fence.
See, they're on the fence because they're not sure because they're not sure exactly how it is exactly how these things might jive. The objective at this point is to make the guy that's dyed in the wool look like an idiot because he doesn't have any evidence that isn't entirely self-referential to back up a case, whereas you can pull from a couple of 1,000 years worth of thought and brains far better equipped than yours to do this to accomplish the task that you actually need to do. See, that's why you don't aim for the guy in the middle. That's why you aim for the guy at the other end. If you show rationality actually is, the people that are sitting on the fence will start looking at it and maybe even start applying it. It doesn't always work, but if you can get one, one.
I think I took your analogy backwards then. That could have been my confusion. All right, that makes sense. All right, I see what you're saying.
But if at any given point you can get one person, just one, to change their thinking based on the evidence, rather than just some touchy-feely bullshit, then you're way ahead of the game. Because that one person will explain it to 8 others.
But that one person
even if
has
you
to have
only
an open mind to accept what you're saying, to at least be open
the guy
to change his mind.
The guy on the fence, by his nature, hasn't made up his mind, and therefore is by default. This is why you attack the guy whose mind is closed. Because if you make the guy whose mind is closed obvious, then the guy with the open, with at least the partially open mind, will go, wait a minute, hold on here, time out.
But those people, I don't spot them as easy. Those are mostly quiet types. They tend to hold back, not talk about it. No.
Well, they won't talk about. They won't say anything to the people to the people right there because they don't want to make a scene. Okay, somebody else has already made a scene for them, and they're completely okay with that. However, later, you might find someone that you'll find someone that asked a question of you while the scene was going on, and then they're out there later parroting it. They're out there later with. They're out there later talking to others about it. I've actually seen this. There's a YouTuber, and I forget his name off the top of my head, and I apologize to that person now if he should ever happen to see this. He asked me a question after one of my early videos. It was one of the early Flat Earth Follies videos, I think. No, it was Creationist Canards 2, and I forget who he was again. But he went back and started digging into my refutation of the guy's claims. He pulled it apart. He said, "Okay, I have this question now," and he put that he assembled it as a response. Really wish I could remember his name, but he assembled it as a response, and he found something where he thought I might be off, where he thought I might actually not be quite right about it, and he was right. I wasn't quite right. I was wrong. I was at least partially wrong, but not in the direction he thought I was, and that's okay. But it proves beyond a reasonable doubt that whilst he was quiet for the most part, he did actually stop and he thought about it and he looked at it. And that's one person that then went on to tell others. Okay, so he caught me out. I wasn't white where I was supposed to be on it, and I don't claim to be the expert. I never did. But at the same time, somebody that actually stopped and thought about it. And as far as I'm concerned, that's mission accomplished.
Oh yeah.
He
To make someone think.
He thought about it. He said, "Okay," and he went back and he actually did his own research. And that guy, he kept me going for quite a while. And it's every so often that I see things that I've had to say turn up in conversations elsewhere. Maybe not necessarily attributed to me, but it's things I've had to say well after the time I've said them, and they turn up in the hands of somebody that I've never seen or heard of. And mostly they get used as arguments against creationism or whatever other topic happens to be going on. I have a small group. There's a small group of people that wander around and watch what I have to say, and there have been more than a few people that have jumped in behind me to chew the shit out of somebody. That guy, what the hell is his name? John Riddle. He's getting it now. Pretty much across the board, and it's not because they're following me necessarily. It's because I actually happen to make some freaking sense. You ask the right questions and you get answers that people don't necessarily want to hear, but they have to look at it and go, "Oh crap, where do you get that from?"
Every person is different too. I've had conversations with Christians that went very well. We had a very good conversation, and that it was very pleasurable and nice. And there are just people that are too how do you say that? Too solid in their positions to ever make any other thought to think actually I could be wrong. I realize that I could be wrong about everything, and I actually don't care if I'm wrong. If you give me evidence that I'm wrong, I will admit it, and simple as that. So if you don't give me evidence, then
I've done that.
I could say that that's not true, but yeah,
I've
you know
done
what
that. Not only have I done that, I've openly admitted to it several times. For example, something you guys probably don't know about me, I actually was in the camp that denied that climate change was happening some years ago. It took a few YouTubers and some time, and a whole pile of research on my part, but I finally came around to the idea that maybe these people are in fact onto something, and all it really did was spur on the research. So yeah, climate change is happening. I don't know that it's as severe as some people would like to say.
I was on the truther boat for a little while, the 9/11 truther. Loose
but
change.
I will happily admit that at that part of my life, I was wrong. And I'll even tell you what put me off it, and that was Al Gore saying, "Why are we even having this discussion? The science has already been done." That statement made me want to climb a freaking wall. Just the idea that statement could even be made in the modern era, it put me off the whole idea. Of course, I don't like Al Gore for my own reasons, but that's not here nor there. It did, however, disincline me to listen to anything the little bastard has to say. And I won't get into why. That's not something that I need to cover in a public forum. But Mr. Picona here will remember. I think maybe, well, I don't know. I don't know if any of the rest of you were there for that. I think you were there, Doc, to watch the discussion that I had with Dr. Dick on the nature of religion and why I personally don't think it's actually valid. He is, despite the fact that he hangs out in any number of atheist places and gets to hang out with us quite a bit, or got to hang out with us quite a bit before he fucked off and left me in charge. I don't know why he did that. He was actually quite pleasant. He was actually quite pleasant to talk to. Why? Because he was willing to look at what was presented and make counter arguments that actually sounds like they might someday make some sense. I rejected those arguments, obviously, or I wouldn't be here, or at least not in this, or at least this conversation would have a very different tenor. But at the same time, you know, if I'm always up for a good discussion. However, if you're gonna try and rub my nose in your stupidity, then don't even think I'm gonna have mercy on you.
No, I'm the same way. If people tell me ridiculous things, I tend to think that it's sarcasm, and then I start to bullshit around too. So it's actually like that also. So not always, but yeah.
There's a lot of times it's like that. Well, I don't know. Usually I can spot a Poe. At least I can spot somebody that's not. If I have a question in my mind, chances are they're a freaking Poe. It's like the target of my last Flat Earth Follies video, who was named in the video only as Eric, and it could be any one of a number of Erics at this point, because apparently that name is attached to more only really seems to be attached to morons anymore. His idea that the Earth is flat is based on. Actually, I don't even know what it's based on. He swears up and down that he has that we can't know what the shape of the Earth is. However, speaking from experience, I can tell you the Earth is round, and it will remain round until further notice. This is the same guy that tried to deny gravity and World War II.
That's actually something I never have. I never have understood why people actually could think the world wasn't round. If you see the sky and you look at the sea, you see actually the sky going. You know, you see the rounding of the sky to. You see the Earth is round. I have always had that experience. So.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, these people seem to think that the reason we can't see more than from a height of 6 feet, that we can't see more than about 6 miles or so, is that that's just a little over 8 kilometers for those people. It's
wasn't it 42 miles till you see the horizon? No,
it's not that far. It's not that far. For a height of 6 feet, it's about 6-8 miles. I'd have to go back and redo that triangle, but I think that's just about right. I know that a radar mast up on top of a big ship, with a radar antenna attached to the end of it's only really good for imaging, probably about 15 or 20 miles, or so, give or take a little bit. Anything beyond that, you actually have to have other radar repeaters chained to it. They seem to think that it's atmospheric interference. Of course, these are the same people that will deny gravity in all its forms, and for evidence present a helium balloon. Yes, I see the face palms. I see the laughing. There is great facepalm.
Yeah, I couldn't hold it back anymore.
Anybody who wants to go look at that Flat Earth Follies video now would be the time to do that. Yeah, this guy here, in attempting to present an argument against gravity, presented a helium balloon and suggested that buoyancy is the mechanism by which we achieve standing on the surface while in any way, shape, or form. Except that last I checked, the laws of motion indicate that there must be a force. Buoyancy is not a force; it's an effect. Okay, buoyancy requires a force to make it work. What would that force be? I ask, and I never seem to get an answer. Universal, or at least not one that makes any damn sense. The only ones I've heard are universal compression and upwards acceleration. I don't get that.
Universal compression?
Look,
universal
compression. Right. But what they don't realize is that inertia depends on gravity to exist anyway.
Yeah, but there's also the problem that everything would arrive at the same speed at some point, so there would have to be constant acceleration, and we'd eventually all be crushed.
Well, we would have, that would be constant acceleration, but if you maintain a constant acceleration of 1g, you wouldn't be crushed. Unfortunately, you'd also wind up traveling at superluminal speeds in rather a hurry.
Yeah.
Of course, that's mass times acceleration.
Yeah.
It's mass times acceleration.
Yeah.
So not only in the video I described, not only did I wind up describing buoyancy completely through, I also described what happens when a body is dropped into a medium for which it is when it is denser than said medium. What they don't get, of course, is that we're talking about a fluid. We're talking about any kind of fluid medium, regardless of what its original form was. Gases are fluids; they act like fluids.
Yeah, but the temperature is a factor also here.
Temperature actually applies to density, because warmer things tend to expand. Therefore, they have more volume. They are slowed. And no, go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm getting kind of turned up here. Go ahead. Go ahead, Bacon.
You reminded me of something that Scientific Lee came out with.
Oh, do tell.
Oh, the motion of cigarette smoke. You can. Oh, what the fuck was it? Because I sat there in stunned amazement. Really didn't take much in, apart from was something to do with the dynamics of cigarette smoke proved God.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
I can tell you exactly why cigarette smoke rises, and it's because it's not as dense. It's warmer and therefore not as dense as the air around it.
No, I think if there's a little air, there's a double helix or something like that. No.
Oh, that's the one. Yeah, double helix.
Yeah, I don't touch scientifically claims because they're so far out there. I don't even know where to start.
I asked him to explain it, and he's dribbled on this shit for a second, and he said, "Right, that's it," and blocked me.
Yeah, that's usually what happens when you ask him to explain his bullshit.
I only shared the meme scientifically his page, and I made Dr. Evil and Scientific, and he blocked me for it.
And who started Scientifically Blocks?
Yeah.
Wasn't that you?
Me? No,
yeah,
that wasn't
possible.
me.
That's because I gave him a Master of Crap diploma, I think, and everyone said they were blocked. So I thought I'm gonna start a community for people who are blocked by scientifically.
You know, it took me less than half an hour to get my invite to that. Less than half an hour. It took like, what was it? I think it was 4 posts before he blocked me.
Yeah, he actually said to me that he actually said to me when I shared that meme with Scientific that he was that I made his page more popular, and he blocked me anyway. So yeah, that's scientifically.
See, that's actually a problem for him. The fact that something that a place like Scientifically Blocks could actually exist is just freaking hilarious, and it's proof positive that that guy has a real problem.
Along with Rodney Mulroney.
Oh God, I remember that
Rodney,
guy.
I love Rodney.
I remember that guy. How is he these days, anyway?
Oh, he never comes out of his freaking community now.
Oh, well, that's too bad, really.
Yes, he has stopped interacting with me, so he doesn't block me anymore, but he just ignores me. So yeah, that tells me enough.
Yeah, that guy John Riddle's currently ignoring me too. I asked him if he started throwing out Bible verses as evidence of his God, and I'm going, okay, you know what? Is your Bible inerrant? Is your Bible the inerrant word of? And he hasn't answered the question. I don't know that he's going to. The problem is that without answering the question, he doesn't have a case. And if he answers the question, similarly, he won't have a case. Because if he answers in the affirmative, then I can dismiss it. I can dismiss it as evidence as being circular for being circular. And if he says no, he's undermined himself. Which I probably shouldn't have said in a place where I could get back to him. But you know what? That's okay. Oh, because someday, eventually, he's going to learn that taunting the heathens is not a good idea.
Actually, the only guy that once got me really pissed off was Sean Tide. I had an argument with them about intelligent design being not scientific or scientific, and I showed him evidence from a scientific site where it was debunked, and he wouldn't admit it, and I got really pissed. That's when I learned my lesson on Google+.
He screamed conspiracy and then tried to hammer you with it, right?
I'll take the game away unless you find the bean.
Alex.
Dad's got it. Dad's got it. Thank you, Dad.
Okay.
Jungle jargon. I love jungle jargon. I think that was the first creationist I met on Google. Yeah.
Jungle jargon. Oh man, I still haven't gotten around to making a response to that one. I should do that.
Well, if I hadn't seen his YouTube videos, I'd swear he was a pro. He always says the same thing: objects can't make you. I once made an entire mosaic of comments from him that he answered. Object can't make you. It was pretty funny.
Because the individual in question has less brain than your average goat. Actually, I dare say the goat is smarter.
I really tried. I actually really tried a few times to understand him, to see what he actually meant. Sometimes he says from what is his usual bullshit. The space has to have a creator because time expands, and I don't know if you know what I'm getting at. I can't
Yeah,
recall
I've
it.
seen the argument.
And
I've seen the
I
argument.
asked him if he actually meant the uncertainty principle or something like this, but I only get a no-brainer, so I don't understand it.
I think you're actually going in the wrong direction with that. Trying to understand jungle jargon is kind of like I don't know. Actually, I don't actually have an analogy that fits that level of stupidity.
She's right. Yeah,
it's
you know,
not.
I'm not very educated. I don't have a high diploma or anything like that, but I do have a grasp of physics and the world around me. So I actually rely on things that are actually make sense. And and I have always problems with people that don't make any fucking sense to me. So yeah, it's a problem.
Oh.
I'm not a very philosophical guy. That's not my
I don't know.
area. Actually,
it seems to me that jungle jargon is actually less capable of rational thought than my teacup.
I have no clue who you're all talking about, so I have no comments still.
Yeah, jungle. Yeah.
The arguments tend to always go. She'll pick an argument and then stick to the same argument all through a comment thread. Won't change, even if it's got nothing to do with the post in the first place. She'll just bring this thing in and just go with it and will not deviate. And it's so fucking annoying the way she does that.
Like Saitan.
Saitan Brigade. Oh.
Yeah.
Can't stand that one.
Should have sent an invite to what's his fucking name again? I'm a skeptic. That'll liven things up.
Has he come in here before?
Well, a little skepticism is a good thing.
That dude's fucking awesome. I watch all this shit.
Are we gonna make a party of this or what?
Oh God, I've got 3/4 of an hour.
Right now we're just a bunch of talking heads.
Right, we've been off topic for like half an hour now.
I think it was much before that.
Probably.
But it was my plan to just go with it and have a good discussion. Start with freedom of speech and then the problems related to that. We actually did really well, I think.
We're all sitting here watching him type.
Oh. So anyway, Beans Morticia over in the chat seems to have come with an interesting little conundrum. It is the government's responsibility to make sure that the rules in the Constitution are followed. But then the flip side of that is how are they currently doing that? Especially in light of people like Josh Duggar still existing.
All right, wait, one more time. Repeat that, please.
Beans Morticia had something to say here.
Yeah.
In the comments, that it is the government's responsibility to ensure the Constitution is upheld. And yet, I see that happening very much. I see the governmental process being used to disrupt that.
Well, the problem is, I think most people don't know all the additional things that also have to do with this. There are international agreements. There are trades. There are pacts. There are transatlantic trade and things like that. And there's a lot of money and power and what else that's involved, and they sometimes have to go a little around, and that's actually a problem. It shouldn't be done, but yeah, it is like it is, I think.
And yet it is. We do business. The United States does business every day with groups of people who are absolutely 100% intolerant of the freedoms that we require. The same people, and of course, the same people, while they're here, take full advantage. It comes down to where does one require to draw the line? Where should that line be drawn?
Well, I actually always mostly use the silver rule, and I don't like the golden rule. I'm more for the silver rule. I treat the people that where I interact with the same way they treat me. If I get respect from someone, they get respect back. If they treat me like an asshole, I treat them like an asshole. And I'm actually a fucking asshole.
Sounds like my way of doing things.
But I have no problem with people being an asshole to me if they can. I have no problem with me being an asshole back afterwards. So.
Yep, pretty much. That's my methodology.
And I think it's a much easier way of life. You don't have to be angry or put up with things that actually don't make fucking sense, which don't deserve your attention or your thoughts. Just live your life and grasp it, take the things that you can learn and try to have an open mind, and that's it. I think, and that's always also a thing of freedom of speech. I'm fucking pissed off. I think you know that from my interactions. I'm a fucking asshole. You know that. Profanity, all the shit. But it's
I have actually never experienced that.
That it's not because I don't.
I have never.
I like to laugh and words. It's not because I say something that I mean what I say. There are differences between a serious conversation and just making some fun. You have to combine the two, and I like to lean to have fun. So you only live once. Have fun.
Yeah, exactly. Carpe diem.
Yeah.
Use the carp.
My profile says it right away. You only live once. Have fun.
I don't know. I have all kinds of.
Don't be
but
an
then
ass.
I'm the weirdo that can start researching one thing and wind up someplace completely different after half an hour.
Yeah, that's the way most of the conversations go on most of the topics that I try to host too. But that's the way conversations are. So, yeah.
Well, okay, but realize that I'm easily distracted by a squirrel in the yard. So,
I'm also easily distracted, so that's no secret. So
one topic can turn into 50 in no time flat. And trying to stick trying to stick to just one without exploring all of the other issues on the edges is really a disservice.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, other than that, you're going to come up with freedom of speech. Good.
Well, actually, where I wanted to go with this, you got me to it. I got shared a post today, that Google Plus terminal services have a little changed, and they describe hate speech the following way. I have prepared it here. So the products, what Google Plus regards as hate speech. So just for your information, that their products are platforms for free expression. So I don't think I think that's enough, but we don't support content that promotes or condones violence against individuals or groups based on race, ethnic origin, religion, disability, gender, age, nationality, veteran status, or sexual orientation, gender identity, whose primary purpose is inciting hatred on the basis of these core characteristics. But what is inciting hatred? I think they're pretty large on this.
Maybe in that case, if you get someone that's
Well, it's not a problem
against
for
pot,
me, but the Muslims are
you know,
screwed.
then and they're like, oh, maybe if you get someone that's against pot, and they're like, oh, that's bad, this and that, then you're inciting hatred against a simple plant, and bam, banned from Google Plus.
Inciting hatred is for me, all black guys should be hanged.
Yeah, that's not the way it works.
That is hatred on an irrational basis on skin color, which makes totally no sense. What is not hatred is religion is harmful to the world. I say something like this. That's totally a different statement.
But you're also not inciting violence against it. I mean, like, you're not saying that we should be going and killing all the Christians or burning down.
No, I wouldn't want that. I couldn't live with that.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's what I'm saying. So I think that's the whole, like, you know, if we're talking about, like...
regret it for my entire life if I would kill someone, so...
Yeah, no, I'm not saying...
Like I said,
that's the whole point.
Like I was just saying, under that definition, I'd be fine. The Muslims, however, they're screwed because they do little what.
Mm-hmm.
As long as they're using Google Plus.
It doesn't matter who or what you... Which they do. It's like any other form of social media. It's a platform to get out your message.
My
message is stop being stupid, start thinking for yourself.
I thought it was just a way to share cat
Their message is kill all the infidels.
I thought this was just a way of sharing cat pictures.
Oh, and I
Yeah, unfortunately, much as we'd like it to be that way, it's not.
And next point, harassment, bullying, and threats are given the following definition by Google+. Do not engage in harassing, bullying, or threatening behavior, and do not cite others to engage in these activities. But how do you cite others to engage in these activities? I don't get that. So
if you tell someone to go, if you look and say, oh, there's 100 people watching us right now, why don't all of you go to this one page and tell them they're whatever, you know, tell them they're dumb or whatever. That would be inciting.
Oh, something like I've done in the past.
I'm sure. Now I'm sure it'd be covered if you were saying that, like, this is a hateful group, go dislike and type of thing.
I think there is a difference between giving a controversial topic that really makes people react more emotionally, because that gives you better comments and better reactions and more honest. That's what I. That's
You're
my.
You're not going to
opinion.
get anybody to watch if you don't have at least semi-controversial topic. No one's going to be no one's going to bread good bad good all right.
Well,
Nice episode on bread.
I always like to think that the people that do interact and that do comment and try to converse when you make I say a troll post, I say something like that. Then these are the people I am trying to reach, but because these are the people who are open-minded.
Yeah.
Well, wrong. Do you disagree?
No, I don't. Open-minded people are the only people you can reach. But like he was saying, like Kaji was saying earlier, like maybe the strategy of getting them is by attacking the closed-minded. But in that case, under that definition, that'd be like hate speech.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, be not that we.
You're majorly breaking up. I don't know about anybody else, but I can't understand anything you're saying.
No, I can't understand him either.
I'm sorry. That's actually. I'm sorry. I'm not actually attacking the person in question. I'm attacking his ideas. And making sure that it's shown to be false.
Right. So is that?
And as such, I'm not bullying him. I don't. The way I'm hearing it, that wouldn't be covered under hate speech, because I'm never actually threatening the person, just the person's argument.
Do you hate people that?
And of course, academic discourse requires.
No, I'm just saying, hate speech is actually saying that.
I have a strong
that
distaste for stupid people that insist on pushing their agendas.
Everybody has an agenda, if you are honest. So, actually, everyone has biases. Everyone has an agenda.
Well, there's a difference, Carlo, between having an agenda that you keep to yourself and an agenda that...
It's the way you implement that. If you know me, I have also my own ideas, and I'm very difficult to apart from my beliefs. I know that. Certainly, if it goes about freedom of expression and things like this, humor and all. But I also think that everyone has the right to have his own idea, and if I don't agree, then we just don't agree. That's
the word triggering wasn't mentioned, was it? The word triggering wasn't mentioned in the letter, was it?
What?
The word triggering wasn't mentioned in the letter, was it?
Triggering?
In the Google definition
of it. Yeah, in the Google letter. Yeah. That wasn't mentioned, was it? Because that's going to end up getting a broadened definition.
Yeah.
Yeah, to single someone out for malicious abuse. That's I think a very important sentence.
Yeah, because
it's also very carefully worded.
Yeah.
It said what? Wait, what now? What?
That's piled up on one person for personal to really causing harm.
Well, what about people like Ken Ham, who's indoctrinating children to the point of not being able to function in society?
I don't think by calling Ken Ham a stupid lying fuck that he's really going to be hurt by that. I think that he just he gets his money every month and he says bye. So
sure.
I think there is a big difference between that.
Very good point.
Yeah, so that basically means that people have to get out there and expose the bastard for what he is.
Mm-hmm.
And that should be covered under free
See,
speech.
the other
too.
thing people aren't understanding. See, the other thing people don't get, freedom of expression also means by necessity that you do not have that others are free to critique and you are not free from criticism.
Goes both ways.
Yeah, and that
See,
goes along
people
with
that
the
seem to
question I
equate
was going
freedom.
to ask earlier.
Yes.
I was going to ask by putting things onto Google Plus, you are putting your message out into the public forum, thereby putting it out there for critique from people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're not putting it out there just so that you can come
Yes.
back and read it later.
You are
You're putting
open
it back out there for other people to put out there and comment on it. But then you're trying to limit the. And I understand, yeah, just people going and fucktard, whatever. But in any other way, trying to limit the people's ability to comment or critique your
That's
ideas.
why I actually object against the function to block people, because I think by someone removing from your site, you don't have a full sight on what's actually happened. It's not because you disagree with someone or because you don't like what someone posts that it doesn't exist. So you have only part of a view of a distorted world. And that's why I almost never block people. I maybe have 2 or 3 people blocked ever. So
it takes extreme
Spammers.
measure.
Spammers.
Yeah.
Yeah, spammers, people who aren't putting out anything there at all that interests me in the slightest. No. Don't waste my time with that.
Well, I think that's your choice, but I don't think that's it's a solution. It's the best solution to just remove them from your site, because they still keep posting, they still keep commenting, but you only not seeing them. So I prefer to see what they do, because I have a more reality based view of what's happening. That's what I think.
No, I'm talking about the kind of spam post where they post an event, you go there and they're selling fucking insurance.
Mm-hmm.
And and all their posts are like that. Like, I'm trying to think of I don't know whether you've been getting them in your feeds. They've been regularly coming up. It's 18 plus photos, blah, 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 blah. And you go there, they're just selling fucking insurance. A bunch of Indian guys sitting around waiting for something to be posted and nothing ever is. Those end up getting blocked, but then they reincarnate themselves as something else. So I don't have a problem with that kind of blocking, Carlo.
Well, I'm always going from the point I can fuck with you more than you can fuck with me. Yes, it's as simple as that. And I just don't care if you fuck with me. I ignore it, and ignoring is I think always a better way than blocking it and removing it from site, because then you don't see it. If you ignore it, you have seen it. You just don't care. It's the same results. You get, because you don't interact with these people, you don't interact with what they're doing, because I don't care also, but I have seen what they have done, and I think that's a better way to deal with things. You have your decision.
Okay,
You have your opinion, of course.
Speaking of, I've got we've got a couple people with an issue back ender here, over in the chat there. Nine Finger Jack and Andrew Sanchez have been trying to get in. He can't seem to.
Nine Finger Jack. Okay, I'll invite him.
I would, but I don't think I have the ability at this point. So.
None of my hangouts ever
I
have
think
enough.
I'm the moderator here, if I'm right. So.
None of my hangouts ever have enough people for me need to worry. I just post the hangout for anybody who wants to come join.
I'm not used to this. It's my first one I do, so but I'm planning to do more. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm interested. I've been watching shows like the Magic Sandwich Show and Lying Ghost Show and Skeptic Fence Show and like all of them really. And I've been wanting to start up like my own little niche version with where everybody just hangs out and gets stoned and talks about things, And so I went ahead and did that and had some. We had a couple. We had 6 episodes or something. But then I had a bunch of technical problems and they're all gone now, and we only have the 2 left. But yeah, I've been really enjoying this whole hangout live broadcast thing. It's awesome.
Yeah, I'm following you for a little while, but your the time zones are not very convenient. So it's only some weekends that I can stay up at night and really can talk to you guys. So yeah. Hey Jack.
Greetings.
Yeah, this is actually kind of a fun thing. Hey Jack.
How you doing, boss?
Welcome aboard.
What I wanted to know, do you really have 9 centimeters in a lie?
No, that's a joke. I work on machines, so here to settle the debate. Okay, there's 4 and a thumb and 4 and a thumb. All right. No, what was going on with
how you been there, Jack?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna cut this thing out.
No, I've been good. Just got off work a couple minutes ago. I'm actually still smoking. Oh, there it is.
Hey Jack.
Yes, sir.
I'm actually hearing myself echo back from your mic.
Are you really? Hold on. 1 second. Let me go get my headset.
You're really disappointed because today I thought you.
You can't get the words out. Holy shit. It's so hard to talk.
I thought you were a hot girl.
All right, hold on. I'll put myself on mute. I'm gonna go get my my headset real quick.
Okay, cool.
That was crazy. There's an application on the phone that you wear headphones and you gotta do that, and it delays your speech for like a fraction of a second like that, and it is impossible to talk. You just start getting all garbled up and walking over yourself. It's weird.
So I was getting a time delay of more than a second.
Oh, that would have been easy to talk then. I was getting like half of a second. So it'd be like in my next word start.
Actually, I was saying what Google Plus regarded as harassment, bullying, and threats. So to anyone using our services to single someone out from malicious abuse, threaten someone with serious harm, or sexualize a person with in an unwanted way, to harass in other ways. I don't know. I'm not. English is not my first language. To harass, I have really a problem with grasping what the actual real definition. To harass is to annoy. To me, to annoy. I don't care if you annoy me. So
that wording is extremely vague. That could mean almost anything at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, to harass in other ways may have the offending contact removed or permanently banned from the user service. In emergency situation, we may escalate imminent threats of serious harm but what is imminent threat of serious harm? They don't define that. I've searched for that. I didn't find any accurate definition of that. To law enforcement. I think that's because that's according to what country or where you live in, no?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah. Keep in
Yep.
mind that online
It's a question of what's going to get them sued.
What?
That's a good point. Yeah.
It comes down to a question of what's going to get them sued. What behavior will get them sued?
Well,
Or leave them
that's
open for a
why
lawsuit.
I actually don't regard that. I don't care about that because in my country, actually, freedom of expression is pretty good. So, yeah. I think America
Here
is
in the U.S., it can
often
be damn near
called
anything.
the land of freedom and land of freedom of expression and speech, but I think there's a lot more censored in America than it is in Belgium. Here, South Park doesn't get to and they say fuck. So if I watched it in when I went to Atlanta, yeah, there was truth and. I don't know if that's common use in America, but here they don't censor language.
It's awesome.
Yeah, here it would depend entirely on where.
Yeah.
In what context?
That's different from state to state, and you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something that I don't really
different.
Actually,
get.
it's more like
It's
by
different
region.
it's different from county to county, man. It's different from it's different from county to county. It's almost different from city to city, really.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like
You
you
look
really
at that
have to go
Alabama
down.
ruling.
Yeah, exactly. You know, these are almost In America here, they talk about states' rights, but it's really almost down to city. You know.
Yeah, the whole interpretation context argument.
Yeah, it's the boots on the streets that are doing the actual interpretation of everything. Cops, you know, are doing the interpretation of the law then and there. Not, you know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah, I've seen when I was in Memphis on vacation 10 years ago. I saw someone robbing a liquid store, and he ran out, and the cop let his dog run after him, and the dog really got him really good, and he let the dog do. Here in Belgium, it's something like that is never seen. So it gives also. It's maybe another culture. I don't know.
Police brutality is rampant. It always has been, though. Some people think that it's less nowadays, and violence is less nowadays. I think there's a great TED Talk by Steven Pinker. I forget what the name of it is now. And he talks about like how violence is actually like the chances of you dying at the hands of another man are lower than they've ever been in all of history. I mean that goes up a little bit with, when you're dealing with the police, though.
Here, actually, a policeman only can shoot his gun when the criminal has shots first at him.
Yeah.
So if he shoots first, the cop goes to jail. So
in America, people are killed for like the guy had a pear and they thought it was a grenade. And they shot him.
Yeah, he felt threatened for his life.
Yeah, if a police officer feels threatened, then they can use their firearm. But death by a police officer around here in America is like 400 people a year, 500 people a year. You know?
Yeah, what was the statistic killed
And a goodly number of those are actually suicides.
What now?
I think
Some of that
suicide
is
rates are
suicides.
pretty higher here in Belgium. I think.
Yeah, suicide by cop. Yeah, that's big, but that's one of the. It's because they do that. Yeah, suicide by cop. People. There's a lot of people.
Yeah, that's a term I never heard. The suicide by cop.
Yeah.
When someone plans on like committing something and going out by having the police come and disposes them. And yeah, it's rampant. Like I said, there's almost like 500 people a year here killed by police, and people choose to go out that way because police act that way. They wouldn't expect that to happen, and they wouldn't plan on that if police didn't act like that in the first place.
I'm sorry, I don't know what your reaction is going to be as Americans, but most Americans, when I say my thoughts about this, they get really pissed or butthurt. But I think it's probably the gun policy in America. Here in Belgium, you can't have a gun except if you go to a club and you use it, and if you stop going to the club, you have to return your gun. So you can't have a gun except if you're in a shooting club. So without a license and you have to be 21, it's not possible. Simple.
That is a huge debate that's going on, and I was actually contemplating setting up a hangout later tonight to actually talk about how people come in.
I'm more than willing to debate on that.
That would be at least a couple hour long discussion right there.
Yeah, there's a quite a heated debate on both sides.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I'm all for people having their guns. It's by law, but on the other hand, studies have been showing that places that don't allow guns have less gun violence. But one of the arguments is, if you take away everybody's gun, then the criminal will have a gun and the homeowner won't. But
I like
I don't know.
the idiom that Jim Jeffries used. On the black market, a regular gun that goes for, say, $600 ends up being $36,000. And if you have $36,000 to just blow, then you already don't need to be a criminal. You're doing pretty fucking well.
It's a good point. I mean, I don't know if it's that much of inflation. You think?
I would imagine it goes market to market. It's probably a huge hyperbole used just for joke's sake, but it does stand to reason that it's going to be a hyperinflated price.
I think it's always also
there's inflation and there's complete hyperbole.
What do you mean by that?
6,000% markup's a little much.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, I wasn't stating that I was using the fact as itself. That was a joke from Jim Jeffries. It's just used as a general kind of market.
Okay. Jack, can you do me a huge favor?
What's that?
And that's turn up the gain on your mic. Turn up the gain on your mic, please. I can hear everybody else clearly, but I have to strain to hear you.
All right, is that working better now?
A little more.
Let's see what the hell's going on here. All right, un momento, por favor. I'm gonna be back.
Can I sing? Hit the road, Jack.
Everything went fine.
I love that song.
You're funny.
Yeah, I love joking around. You know that.
Oh no, I got you. Trust me. My family are the people who mess with my name the most. First thing my old man says when he calls me is, "Hey, jackass, how you doing?" Love you too, Pop.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's his fault.
Yeah.
At least in some part.
No, I was named after my great uncle.
He probably didn't get that kind of bullshit.
Oh, I don't know. He died plenty before my time.
Yeah, but I still doubt he got bullshit for his name being Jack.
Oh, probably not in the 50s, no. 50s,
Or John, 60s. Actually.
Yeah, the origination of the nickname Jack. I wish that JFK had gone by Jack more. I feel that this name would be more likable.
I always find it funny that James
I
is
don't
Jim
know.
and
Jack at the end of it.
what the hell?
Jack is supposed to be a short form of John, but I don't see how it actually comes out as a short form of anything. Since you're still talking about 4 letters.
Right.
Right.
And yes, that's
should
me
just
being
use
pedantic,
Strut.
but then I make
Everyone should just
my
use
money on
Strut.
words. So
Just add an O to the end of everybody's name. Shane-O, Carlo-O, Carge-O, Max-O.
I love how you guys pronounce my name, so.
I haven't even been attempting to, just your first name.
I actually have problems when I'm on Google Plus for a while and I'm interacting to actually change back to Dutch. I really do.
That's funny.
That's pretty weird. So, should I go on with the harassment, bullying, and threats definition from Google Plus?
Absolutely.
So,
I think we've already established that they're out of their damn minds,
Yeah.
well,
and that for the most part, it's not actually a threat to any of us.
that last sentence is actually pretty disturbing, I think. They say, keep in mind that online harassment is also illegal in many places and can have serious offline consequences for both harasser and victim.
Well, what are we classifying as harassment? That's a pretty broad term.
What are we classifying as victim?
Yeah,
Right.
that's actually the problem. The definitions are so widely, yeah. Harassment, I think it has 3 different explanations. I think if you look it up in the dictionary now, to translate it into Dutch. So,
Well,
yeah.
any noun that can be verbalized or made into a verb automatically loses any real meaning for me.
The only thing I regard offensive in
At least it is verb form.
abuse. I find this very strong word. Abuse is really making harming someone. It's in the context of harming. Harassment is more something like hey, and it's an annoyance and it's a little itch and go fuck away, and that's for me harassment. I don't know if I get it wrong because I'm not English, but that's what my experience is in that.
Yeah, harassment is generally any repeated verbal or it can be physical. Any basically repeated unwanted repeated annoyances. I mean, I've never actually looked
That's
at
usually used in terms of sexual advances.
Yeah. I just posted both on the comments thread and in the chat room in here the link to the event for tonight, and I did it for 8 instead of 9.
That's about what you said earlier about police brutality.
Gun control.
Gun control. Okay.
Last Sunday's conversation was on police brutality.
Yeah, I saw that, but it was too late for me.
On YouTube, if anybody wants to watch it.
Okay.
The circle.
I'm not too drunk and I have the time watch them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, if anybody else enjoys these conversations, wants to join in more, go ahead and add the circle into your circle, and you'll be informed on all the conversations that we attempt to have. Sometimes technology doesn't allow it, but we attempt it.
Yeah, it's a bitch.
But it's worth it. I enjoy the conversations, getting other people's point of view, and it's awesome.
Well, it has been a lot of fun, actually.
Yeah, I think too.
We're in a lull again. Huh?
I love people who don't give a shit. I don't give a shit what other people think, so I do actually, but there's a context to it. I think there's context. I think people who actually grasp the core thing of what we're trying to do here and saying and showing too. People can discuss serious topics. Sometimes have a little fun and then go on about something else and even being a pain in the asses a few times. But that doesn't mean that's harassment or bullying or something like that. So I think
Jack
that's
just left the group. He said he came in. He was going to say something and had his audio troubles and never said what he initially was going to say. I was just about to ask him what he was. He said he came in to clear something up.
Yeah, no. So I'll wait because I actually intended to stop this hangout after 1 hour, and we're 3 hours on the way. So.
Damn. All my hangouts get away from me too. It's crazy.
You know, I'm gonna share this around and stuff. So.
I don't know. Bob third.
What?
Over there on the left. Bob.
Bobby, I didn't
Mr.
hear Bob
Crofts.
laugh. No.
I know.
I think Bob fell asleep.
He hasn't actually said a word since you asked him since you told him we were having reverb issues.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was saying mute yourself unless you were talking. I didn't mean you couldn't talk. I didn't mean anybody to take like that. My bad.
I don't think he's actually listening.
Maybe not. Maybe I'm not the mic.
Or if he's listening, he's ignoring me at the moment.
No talking for you. Right, then.
Come on, Bob. Put your headset back on. Come on, Bob.
Well, I gotta go get something to eat and give my ears a rest. These earbuds are killing my ears right now. It was great being on this hangout. Like I said, I posted those links, so if anybody wants to come by tonight and talk about gun control, let's have another conversation.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna pass. Actually, I have a video to work on. Although I may drop by at some point.
Yeah. Well,
what time is it?
I put it for 8. Well, it's 4 here now. 4:07. So
how long is that still from now?
It's about 4 hours.
Oh, I think
about 4 hours.
I'm gonna be wasted then.
Well, if anybody out there would like to join, the link is in the conversation, in the comments. All right, it was great chatting.
Yeah, it was nice chatting to you too.
Well, so, let me know next time what's going on, and I'll help me join.
Absolutely.
All right,
we will definitely have to get this group together again.
But next time you have to bring Run.
That would just that would be like inviting that would be inviting him into the lion's den. Bad.
Okay, guys and girls, have a good night because
Yep.
it's night here.
You too, bud.
So
I don't know
see you
about any
later.
girls in here, but
And Kantis Bacona, Prince Bacon. Bye.
Yeah, I got something for you. Just came in the mail today.
Oh yeah, yeah. We're gonna do that.
oh, I gotta hear this.
Yeah, we're gonna do this. It's for later. Okay. See you later, guys. So
This about the mail there, Bacon?
what?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm wearing it. Nice
Yeah.
little pig
Oh, I saw
mask.
that earlier.
Yeah, it's my new profile pic, eh?
You know
Yeah,
what?
I saw that. That was
We're gonna
actually
just
kind of
leave
funny.
that. We're just gonna leave the hangout and we'll leave Bob in here. he doesn't isn't aware of it.
Yeah. He'll figure it out when he comes back.
Yeah, I
Okay,
think.
well, we're going to catch you guys up later. Make sure you turn the live part off before you clock out.
Yeah, I need to click stop broadcast. I know. So okay. Bye.
Right.